Okay, so I need to be completely honest with you right now, in this very moment. Today is not just another day. And if you're an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, I genuinely believe you need to hear this message. Because on April 18th, something truly rare and incredibly powerful is unfolding in the sky above us. At 3000 in the morning, the Sun in Aries is going to form a precise geometric alignment with Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius. I know that might sound like just another astrological aspect, but trust me, this one is profoundly different. This is what's known as a dark goddess activation. And honestly, if you've been feeling an undeniable restlessness, a confrontational edge, or a persistent sensation that something profound inside you is desperately trying to break free, there's a potent reason for that. You're already feeling its stirrings. The energy is palpably present. And here's what truly commands my attention. This isn't happening in isolation. We just experienced an Aries new moon a mere 2 days ago. The entire celestial dome is currently packed with planets in Aries, amplifying this fiery energy. Crucially, there are no retrogrades slowing anything down. The energy is surging forward, gaining momentum rapidly, building toward this exact moment this morning. But there's one specific insight about this activation that I think almost everyone is overlooking. And if you don't grasp it, you might inadvertently resist the very breakthrough that's striving to manifest for you right now. I'm going to tell you exactly what that is later in this video, so please stay with me. First, though, I need to thoroughly explain what Black Moon Lilith actually is, because this isn't your typical surface-level astrology. This delves into the realm of shadow work. This is deep, primal, and honestly, for some of you, this is going to be truly life-changing. The dark goddess is about to speak, and she absolutely does not ask for permission. So, let me meticulously break this down for you. Black Moon Lilith isn't a planet. It's not an asteroid gracefully floating around in space. It is something else entirely. A unique point, a mathematical point in space that represents the furthest, darkest reach of the Moon's elliptical orbit around Earth. And astrologically, Lilith embodies everything we've been subtly or overtly taught to hide. She represents those parts of ourselves we've been told are too much, too wild, too inappropriate to express. She is the fierce patron of the shadow self, the profound repository of repressed anger, unfulfilled desires, and the uncomfortable truths we're absolutely terrified to speak out loud. In ancient mythology, Lilith was Adam's first wife, famously created equal to him, not from his rib. And when he demanded she submit to him, she fiercely refused. She spoke the secret name of God, sprouted wings, and flew away to live authentically on her own terms. For that powerful act of rebellion, she was demonized and vilified for centuries. But here's what I believe modern spirituality has finally begun to realize. Lilith isn't a demon at all. She is the ultimate archetype of sovereignty. She is that unyielding voice inside you that courageously says no when everyone expects you to say yes. She is the fierce, untamed part of your soul that simply refuses to be controlled or confined. And right now, Lilith is powerfully moving through Sagittarius, the sign of truth, expansive philosophy, higher learning, and radical freedom. This means she's actively exposing the collective shadow around entrenched belief systems, rigid dogma, and the pervasive fear of being cast out for daring to think differently. When the Sun, representing your conscious identity, your ego, your essential sense of self, forms this intense 135-degree sesquadrate angle with Lilith this morning, it creates a powerful internal friction. The kind of friction that simply cannot be ignored any longer. The kind that relentlessly forces buried truths to the surface, whether you feel ready for them or not. I've been feeling this myself, that grinding tension between who you're constantly told you're supposed to be and who you authentically are. Does that resonate deeply with you? You're already feeling it, and here's why. So, here's the crucial thing. most people don't fully realize about astrological transits. They don't just happen in one isolated moment and then vanish. The energy builds, often subtly at first, and right now we are truly in the eye of this energetic storm. Let me paint the picture for you. On April 16th, the Sun merged with Chiron in Aries. That's the powerful asteroid of the wounded healer, illuminating the deepest wounds around your inherent right to exist and to simply be yourself. That activated significant pain, bringing it to the forefront. Then, on April 17th, literally just yesterday, we experienced a new moon in Aries at 27 degrees, a powerful reset, a dark moon moment where fresh, potent intentions were quietly planted. And just hours after that new moon, the moon gracefully moved into Taurus, grounding that fiery, initiating energy into physical reality. So, your emotional body has just undergone a massive, transformative initiation. And now, less than 24 hours later, the Sun is about to clash intensely with Lilith. This is not random timing. Your psyche is already raw, already exposed, already perfectly primed for this profound confrontation with the shadow. Have you noticed how incredibly intense this past week has been? How unusually restless you felt? How things that normally wouldn't bother you suddenly feel absolutely unbearable? That's not just in your head. I believe you are already deeply inside this activation field. And for Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, the three fire signs, this energy is hitting differently, with amplified force, because fire doesn't merely simmer, fire erupts. And this morning, something significant is going to ignite. The three fire signs are about to face their inherent power. Let me be unequivocally clear about something. All 12 signs are going to feel this profound shift in some way. But Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, you are unequivocally in the crucible. This transit is meticulously designed to shake you awake and compel you to reclaim parts of yourself you've been unconsciously giving away. And if you're one of these signs, whether by sun, moon, or ascendant, what I'm about to share might explain absolutely everything you've been experiencing lately. Stay with me on this one. Okay, Aries, let's talk, because right now you are hosting the Sun, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron, all powerfully positioned in your sign. You are, without a doubt, the main character of April 2026. And I know that sounds incredibly exciting, but honestly, I think it's been utterly exhausting. You're being pulled in 1,000 different directions simultaneously. A significant part of you yearns to charge forward, to take decisive action, to lead the way with your characteristic pioneering spirit. But another part of you feels profoundly weighed down by responsibilities, by external expectations, and by this confusing fog of what you're actually supposed to be doing with your life. And here's where Lilith makes her powerful entrance. She's sitting in your 9th house, the house of deeply held beliefs, higher truth, expansive travel, and intellectual expansion. And this morning, she's going to ruthlessly expose something you've been cleverly pretending not to know. The hidden truth that you've been compromising your deepest beliefs just to maintain the peace. You've been biting your tongue, suppressing your authentic voice. You've been subtly altering your path to fit someone else's vision of who you should be, rather than forging your own. And I think, deep down, you profoundly know it. Perhaps you've been lingering in a job that fundamentally goes against your core values, because it offers a sense of stability. Maybe you've been diligently keeping your real opinions to yourself, because you genuinely don't want to rock the boat or stir up conflict. Perhaps there's a transformative journey you're desperate to take, literally or metaphorically, but you've convinced yourself it's simply not the right time. Lilith is about to spectacularly blow that flimsy excuse apart. And honestly, this was a monumental realization for me when I started understanding this energy. True independence isn't just about taking fast action. It's about taking action that is completely and fiercely aligned with your authentic truth, even when it makes other people deeply uncomfortable. Today's activation is going to ignite within you a sudden, undeniable urge to stop playing it safe, to stop being the tireless warrior for everyone else's agenda, and to start fiercely fighting for your own vision. And when that happens, when you finally give yourself permission to be courageously selfish about your truth, that's precisely when your real, inherent power fully comes online. If you're an Aries and you've been feeling utterly suffocated lately, like you can't truly breathe in your own life, this is why. The breakthrough is coming. Let it happen. Leo, the magnetism. You've been hiding. Leo, I truly see you, and I believe you've been playing small, diminishing your inherent brilliance. For you, this powerful activation is happening across your 9th house, where the sun resides, and your 5th house, where Lilith is currently positioned. The 5th house is unequivocally your domain. Creativity, romance, pleasure, vibrant self-expression, and pure joy. This is where you naturally shine with unparalleled radiance. But Lilith being there, she's been relentlessly dredging up some deeply uncomfortable truths. Here's what I think is truly unfolding. You've been subtly dimming your magnificent light. You've been sanitizing your unique creative voice, toning down your inherent magnetism, making yourself deliberately more palatable because you're afraid of being too much. Maybe you've been holding back on a groundbreaking creative project because you're worried it's too bold, too controversial, too unapologetically you. Perhaps there's a profound romantic attraction you've been denying, suppressing its truth, because it doesn't quite fit the polished image you believe you need to maintain. Maybe you've been meticulously performing a version of yourself that's safe and universally likable, instead of raw, authentic, and real. And the grinding friction of today's aspect? It's powerfully exposing that very gap. The chasm between who you're pretending to be and who you authentically are when no one's watching. The hidden truth Lilith is revealing is this. Your real, potent power isn't in being universally loved. It's in being unapologetically magnetic, even if that intimidates some people, and especially if that intimidates people. Because when you stop apologizing for taking up space, when you channel your full, untamed creative fire, without filtering its intensity, when you pursue pleasure and joy and romance without a shred of guilt, that's precisely when you become absolutely unstoppable. And I truly believe today is the day you stop asking for external permission to shine. The moon will be in your 10th house of public reputation and visibility today. So, whatever profound realization you have internally in the early morning hours, I think it's going to manifest externally quite rapidly. People are going to notice something distinctly different about you. And if you've been feeling this irresistible pull toward more luxury, more indulgence, more of what authentically makes you feel alive, trust it implicitly. That's not vanity. That's profound alignment. Leo, your power activation looks like this, stepping into your full, dramatic, creative, magnetic glory and fiercely refusing to shrink for anyone ever again. Are you truly ready for that? Sagittarius, the heretic who refused to conform. Sagittarius. This one is particularly intense because Lilith isn't just affecting you in a general sense. She is literally living in your 1st house, your house of self, body, and core identity. You are the direct, visceral channel for the dark goddess energy right now. And I think you've been feeling its profound influence for months. This pervasive sense of alienation, this deep feeling of being the outsider, the one who perceives things differently, the one who simply cannot go along with the collective hive mind, even when it would undeniably be easier. Lilith in your 1st house has been activating deep ancient memories, perhaps from this lifetime, perhaps from past lives, of being persecuted for your unconventional beliefs, of being cast out for fearlessly telling the truth, of being punished for refusing to conform to societal norms. And today, when the sun in your fifth house of joy and self-expression powerfully clashes with Lilith, it's going to bring all of that raw, historical pain to the surface. The friction is this. A significant part of you yearns to be light-hearted, fun, playful, and optimistic, as Sagittarius is stereotypically supposed to be. But another part of you feels this heavy, righteous, and undeniable need to speak uncomfortable truths and shatter illusions. The hidden truth Lilith is revealing is that you've been spiritually bypassing your own profound pain. You've been philosophizing your way out of dealing with very real, very physical boundaries that desperately need to be set. You've been so intensely focused on being the expansive, freedom-loving teacher for others that you've woefully ignored your own body's fundamental need for rest, protection, and radical self-care. And I think today's activation is going to give you a visceral, somatic realization that you simply cannot keep pouring from an empty cup. That saying no isn't selfish, it's absolute survival. That fiercely protecting your energy isn't being closed off, it's being profoundly sovereign. The power activation for Sagittarius looks like this: reclaiming your physical body and personal boundaries as sacred ground. Vocalizing your truth without filtering it for a delicate audience. Embodying the role of the untamed truth-teller without apologizing for making people uncomfortable. Your wildness isn't a flaw to manage. I truly believe it's the very source of your power, and today you're going to remember that with undeniable force. The symbols are speaking, and they are certainly not being subtle. Now, here's where it gets even more fascinating for me. I've been diligently studying the Sabian symbols for the exact degrees of this activation, and they are narrating a very specific, profound story. The sun at 28 degrees. Aries corresponds to the symbol for Aries 29, a celestial choir singing. This represents harmony, divine frequency, the ethereal music of the spheres. It's about tuning into a higher vibration and expressing your soul's unique note with absolute devotion and purity. Meanwhile, Lilith at 13G Sagittarius corresponds to Sagittarius 14, the pyramids and the Sphinx. This symbolizes ancient wisdom, enduring monuments, foundational truths that time itself cannot erode or diminish. So, here's the powerful narrative that emerges: the celestial choir. Your conscious identity, your highest expression, is grinding against the pyramids, your deepest, most ancient shadow truths. The true activation happens when you cease denying those monumental, buried truths and instead courageously integrate them into your voice. When you allow the dark, profound knowledge to fully inform the song you are singing to the world. Both of these significant degrees reduce numerologically to the master number 11. A number of profound spiritual illumination and heightened intuition. This is not a coincidence. I believe today's activation is meticulously designed to awaken your spiritual sight, your innate ability to hear the truth resonating beneath the surface of words, your profound capacity to feel what is truly real versus what is merely performance. And here's something I found absolutely fascinating. The degree the sun is at also corresponds to the auditory canal in medical astrology, hearing, listening, tuning into frequency. Meanwhile, Lilith's degree corresponds to the cutaneous vessels of the thighs, the skin, the visceral physical sensation of truth. So you might quite literally feel this activation in your body, a deep restlessness in your legs, an irresistible urge to move, to travel, to run toward freedom, or a sudden, piercing clarity in what you're hearing, both from others and from your own inner voice. Pay profound attention to that. What happens next and why it matters. So this morning, the core activation happens at 30,000 a day AM. For most of you, that's going to be in the middle of the night or very early morning. And I truly want you to pay close attention to your dreams, your sleep patterns, any sudden wake-ups or vivid moments during those crucial hours, because this is precisely the kind of energy that can deliver powerful downloads in your sleep, visions, profound realizations, the kind of absolute clarity that makes you sit up abruptly in bed and exclaim, "Oh, oh, I finally get it now." But the energy doesn't dissipate there. Just hours after the sun, Lilith activation, on the afternoon of April 18th, Mercury in Aries is going to form a supportive, harmonious angle to Pluto in Aquarius, which means whatever profound truth gets exposed or ignited in the early morning, you're going to have the mental clarity and psychological power to articulate it, investigate it deeply, and effectively communicate it by the afternoon. And then, on April 19th, Mars meets Saturn in Aries. That's the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object. This is where the raw desires and crucial boundaries you discovered during the Lilith activation powerfully meet the hard reality of structure and discipline. But because the activation gave you undeniable clarity on your personal truth, I think this Mars-Saturn conjunction is going to feel incredibly empowering, not restricting. It's going to give you the precise discipline to take structured, aligned action toward your new reality, instead of just acting out of blind, reactive rebellion. Later in the month, there are even more harmonious aspects that will help integrate all of this profound transformation. Mercury trines Lilith on April 24th, facilitating easy communication of your newly discovered shadow truths. Mars trines Lilith on April 28th, bringing aligned action and desire into effortless flow. The universe is meticulously setting you up to not just have a breakthrough, but to actually build something real and lasting from it. The one thing everyone's missing about this activation. Remember at the beginning when I said there's one crucial thing most people don't truly understand about this. This is it, and I really need you to hear this with your whole being. The biggest mistake I see people make with Lilith activations is thinking the goal is to get rid of the shadow, to heal it away, to transmute it into only light and love and positivity. But that's fundamentally not how this works. That's not what Lilith wants from you. Lilith doesn't want to be healed. She wants to be integrated. She wants to be acknowledged. She wants you to stop pretending she doesn't exist and to start letting her courageously inform your decisions. Your anger? It's valuable data. Your desires? They are utterly valid. Your boundaries? They are non-negotiable. The parts of you that feel too intense, too selfish, too much. Those aren't problems to fix. They are incredibly potent power sources you've been too afraid to plug into. Today's activation isn't about getting rid of your shadow. It's about bravely bringing it into the light and declaring, "Yes, this is also me, and I'm not apologizing for it anymore." Because when you stop fragmenting yourself, when you cease trying to be all light and no darkness, that's when you become truly whole. And when you become truly whole, that's when you become profoundly powerful. This is precisely why the square aspect matters so much. It's not a gentle, flowing energy. It's friction. It's tension. It's uncomfortable, because genuine growth isn't supposed to be comfortable. Truth-telling isn't supposed to be easy. Sovereignty isn't simply handed to you. You have to fiercely claim it. And if you're feeling that friction right now, if you're in that deeply uncomfortable space between who you were and who you are powerfully becoming, don't fight it. Lean into it. Let the grinding tension crack you open, because on the other side of that discomfort, that's exactly where your power lives. The dark goddess doesn't ask, she demands. So, here's what I think is going to happen today and in the crucial days that follow. Some of you are going to feel this sudden, electrifying clarity about what absolutely needs to change in your life. A relationship that's been subtly draining your life force. A job that's been suffocating your truth and spirit. A belief system you inherited that was never actually, authentically yours. And you're going to know to 20. Not think, not wonder, but know to courageously walk away. And that knowing is going to feel both terrifying and exhilarating at the exact same time. Others might experience this as a creative breakthrough, a sudden flood of brilliant ideas, vivid visions, or ambitious projects that feel raw and real, and possibly too controversial to share. Do not censor yourself. I truly believe the world desperately needs your unfiltered, authentic voice right now. And for some of you, this is going to manifest powerfully in your body. A physical restlessness, an irresistible urge to move, to travel, to radically change your environment. A somatic knowing that you can't stay where you are anymore, literally or metaphorically. Whatever profound form this takes for you, the message is unequivocally the same. The dark goddess is activating, and she's not asking for your permission. She is fiercely demanding your undivided attention. The crucial question is, are you going to listen? Because this kind of potent energy doesn't come around often. The Sun and Lilith form exact aspects only a few times a year. And this particular one, happening at the tail end of Aries, in the midst of this massive planetary pileup right after a new moon. This is exceptionally rare. This is incredibly potent. This is the kind of activation that can profoundly rewrite your entire story if you courageously let it. And I know that might sound intense. I know some of you might be feeling scared or overwhelmed right now. But I want you to hear this with every fiber of your being. You're not broken. You're not being punished. You are powerfully being liberated. The parts of you that are fiercely rising to the surface right now, they've been there all along. You've just been taught, perhaps subtly, perhaps overtly, to hide them. And today the universe is giving you permission, no, a mandate to stop hiding. Your wild truth is not your liability. It is your inherent birthright. And the more you bravely embrace it, the more you stop apologizing for it, the more powerful you become. So, if you're Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or if you have strong placements in these fire signs, I truly encourage you to create some dedicated space for yourself today. Don't overschedule. Don't numb out with endless distractions. Instead, sit with whatever intensely comes up. Journal your thoughts, move your body, let yourself feel the full spectrum of what's being powerfully activated within you. And if you're not one of these signs, but you've been feeling this surging energy anyway, you're not imagining it. We are all profoundly in this collective shift together. But the fire signs are the ones courageously holding the torch right now. They're the ones being asked to lead the way into this new paradigm of radical authenticity. All right, if you made it this far, thank you so much for being here. If this deeply resonated with you and you'd love to see more content like this, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. And please, drop your experiences in the comments below, especially if you're Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. I really want to hear what you've been going through this week and what powerfully happens for you today. Are you feeling the friction, the restlessness, the irresistible pull towards something new and authentic? Let me know. We're all navigating this transformative journey together. Take exquisite care of yourself. Protect your precious energy, and I'll see you in the next one.